Hello, so today we're going to talk about how to easily extract Salesforce data with Apache Spark in Python, so PySpark. And I did this video because I've spent days trying to figure out the jar dependencies, and I don't want you to go through the same thing. It was very annoying, to be sincere. And before we start, why you should watch this video? I'm a data engineer. I've been a data engineer for 4 years now, and I've created pipelines architectures in startups, consulting companies, and product companies. And I've had to dig into Maven repositories to finally get how to extract data from Salesforce with PySpark specifically, because you can use Python packages, but PySpark is a bit more tricky. Um, and I'll give you a 30-minute free consulting call if you want to discuss this matter. So, to extract Salesforce data with PySpark, we're going to go through some topics. First of all, we're going to understand the PySpark module, and then we're going to see the jar dependencies and how to use SOQL, which is the SQL for Salesforce. So first of all, PySpark module. We have this Spark Salesforce module. It's very useful, but it's not very updated. And that's why I wanted to do this video because I had to figure out a lot of things myself because they are not updating it. And you can see that they have information about the Scala API, the Java API, and R API, but not Python. And I want to share this. So for the Python API, you're able to use the Calm Spring ML Spark Salesforce package with these configurations. So for the username, you need your email. And then for password, you need your password and the security token that Salesforce provides you. So both of them concatenated, as you can see. And then you need your SOQL that you will use to extract your data. And so if you don't know what is SOQL, I'll get to it in the video. So second part is after having this piece of code, you actually need some dependencies to make it work with PySpark. And you can see in their link, that they have one dependency only, but that did not work with PySpark. I don't know if it works with Scala or Java because I haven't tested it, but I know that it didn't work with PySpark. And I know by brute force, basically, that we need these jar dependencies. I have listed them here, but I've also forked their repository and changed the README. I have asked for a merge, but I have created a pull request, but they haven't updated to this date. They haven't updated the package. I think the last update was 3 years ago, so I don't think they'll change it. So I'll link the fork that I did in the description if you want to have this as Maven dependencies or the Spark shell. But these are the dependencies that we need. I won't go through, like, I don't think it's necessary to go through them, but if you're interested, let me know and maybe I'll do a video about it. And last but not least, how to use SOQL. So SOQL is similar to SQL, but it has some differences. It has a good documentation by Salesforce. It has some features such as where date is yesterday or and last days, which is very interesting that we don't have in SQL, at least not in every SQL engine. So I found it interesting, at least. And it's object-based, just like Salesforce. So you need to have, like, you need to query your objects. And you have some extensions for Google Chrome, which is the one I use. Uh, this specifically is the one that I use, Salesforce Inspector Reloaded for querying. So if you use Salesforce regularly, but you want to use the API and the SOQL, because when you're creating your ETL, when you're extracting your data, you need to like go through the data before, like understand what you actually need. So that's why this extension is very interesting because you can just install the extension, and when you open it, like you have when you enter Salesforce, you have this little arrow here, and you click it, and you put data export, and you go through this page, and you have like this where you can export your query, and you have the results here. You also need some permissions on Salesforce to actually use an API. It's not every user that is able to do this, so check with your Salesforce admin. And you need there are some tricky things in SOQL because custom fields are a bit trickier. They have a lot of limitation around that with the tool. If you want to query, for example, all of the fields, like fields all, you have to limit to 200 rows, which is a bit of a pain. So if you have, and you probably have, because that's usually how people use CRMs, you have a lot of fields, and it's very boring and not productive to keep writing all of the fields names. So like doing a select all is more like straightforward, but in this case they have this limitation. But we have found a workaround that we're going to share with you. So instead of trying to query or do pagination or whatever, here in the first SOQL, we have queried all of the fields, but limit one, because we just want to get the columns. So we have here, like we queried it, we only get one row, but we don't even look at that row because we only want the columns. We get the df, the data frame dot columns to get all of the columns in this data frame. And then we do a join with the list, which is very straightforward. And then we just do select the query columns, and then from the origin table. That makes able to query all of the table, like the whole table and all of the fields, without having to like write down all of the fields every time someone adds one or removes one. And then after that, we can just use the same code again to get all of the data. That's the workaround we work with. We have, I think, at least 30 pipelines working with it. And it's very useful, very straightforward, and very easy to maintain. At least we found that. And how to use SOQL still. So another tricky thing that we found was that because SOQL uses the API for the data, so I don't know why Salesforce did that, but you have two names. You have the displayed name, probably have a good reason. I just don't know Salesforce enough. But you have the label, you have like how people enter Salesforce and they see the data like, I don't know, name. And then in your API, you have like, I don't know, name underline company, something like that. And so that makes the labels don't match Salesforce and SQL in Salesforce, like the interface and the SOQL. And when people that are accustomed to like seeing data in Salesforce see data in SOQL, they are like, what does that mean? We need those names to match. And so that's why we do like went through the metadata API that Salesforce have, and we found that SOQL has something called qualified API name, and Salesforce, like displayed Salesforce, has, because it's all Salesforce, right? But the display, the interface, the thing that people use has this master label. And then we use this metadata API using another Python package called sfdclib, because we are able to use this. It's not actually called metadata API, it's called ToolingAPI. And we can get the field definition object, which is available in this tooling API, that has this qualified name and master name. So that's what we did. also, like in this case, we need the username, which is the email, the password, and the security token. And we need to flag that it's not a sandbox, else it will try and have, and it will not work. So if you have a sandbox and you're using this for the sandbox, you need to flag it as sandbox, but else you don't need it. And then you do the login, and you get the tooling API here. And you do the query that we are going to get the qualified API name for the SOQL and the master label from the field definition, just like any other object in Salesforce. And then we're going to get where entity definition qualified API name is the name of the table that we are actually interested in. Else we'll get the data from for every table. And then here is just a for having like regex, etc., to have the names matched first of all, and then also like removing some characters that are not interesting. And we also had some duplication, so because of many plugins in Salesforce, so that's why we had to like have this removal of duplications. So that's basically it. I wanted to do this video because I've had to dig deep on this matter to actually make it work, and it's very simple. So I wanted to make your life simple if you are interested in this and you need to do this. It's simple to set up after knowing the dependencies is SOQL has limitations around querying, but they can be overcome. It's very simple to overcome them. And inconsistencies in API names and interface names can be solved with using their objects, because they have a lot of objects and sometimes hard to understand which object should we be using, should we be leveraging to actually make our data better. So that's why I did this video. I hope this helped truly. And if you want to have a 30-minute chat about this and how to implement this in the company that you work, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll schedule a meeting in any of those links. And yeah, hope to talk to you soon. And thank you for your time.